Okay. Hello. Thank you for being here. I am excited to hear about what a life by design means to you. Hey, Raven. All right. I guess she's just checking up on me. Okay. Let's talk a little bit about, I've done this class a bunch of times, and I've done like the hour version, I've done like the hour and a half version, I've done like the 2.5 hour version. So can we just quickly go around the room and what is the one thing that you absolutely want to learn today about the whole life by design and planning and tracking and all that kind of stuff? Because I can kind of give you the bills in a C kind of mood today, and we can get really in the weeds with all the numbers, or I can give you more of like a bird's eye view. So tell me a little bit about what is your primary goal for being a listener and a learner today? Let's start with you, Ebony. Everyone take yourself off mute, so when I call your name, you just tell me real fast.
Ebony, my goal is just more of staying on task with what it is that I'm trying to do, like always, and not being a slacker, even, when sometimes you have those days when it's hard to do real estate or anything.
Okay. Thank you.
I agree with her.
Tracy.
I agree with Ebony, just staying on task, even when I don't want to.
Okay. Jonathan.
Yeah, I would piggyback off the staying on task, as well as just being maybe more organized and consistent.
Okay. So let me do a quick little sidebar here. There's two parts to what all three of you have said, which is there's the staying on task, but there's also knowing what the task is. So do you find that you have is your challenge primarily in knowing what the task is, or is it a motivational issue on staying on track?
I would say both, but definitely like knowing what task and just like really implementing and using like systems correctly.
Okay, great. Ebony, would you agree?
Absolutely. If your calendar isn't, especially with Legion, set up the way that it should be on what your activity is going to be, sometimes you can get lost in the sauce, which is then going to take you off task because you're running in circles trying to figure out what that activity is going to be for failure of planning correctly.
Okay, perfect.
Yeah.
Tracy, you agree?
I know. Yeah,
it's
I do.
Like maybe 20% knowing what the task is and 80% making sure you're efficient with your time and getting it completed in an appropriate way, right?
Yes.
All right, Candace, what about you?
Mine is more understanding enough passive income through profit share tree and referrals and other sources, investments to be able to live the way I want to live and work when I want to and work how I want to. Because I don't want to give up work. I like work, but just want to have that as a cushion.
Beautiful. Lily, what's your primary reason for being here today? What are you hoping to learn today? Precious, I'm coming to you next.
I wasn't really sure. I've never taken a life by design workshop. I just, I don't know. I was curious as to what nuggets of information I could pick up from it.
Beautiful. Precious, what are you hoping to learn today? What's your primary reason for coming and hanging out with me at 2 o'clock on a Friday afternoon?
Well, I'm hoping, Bill, that you would somehow touch on time management, because
Yes.
I know the task from my last discussions. I know the task and just making sure that I accomplish the task. I think I really do need help with time management because I have so much on my plate, both personally and
okay, perfect.
professionally.
We're going to touch on all that stuff today. Raven, are you hanging out the whole class, or are you just here to make sure that I'm behaving myself?
No, I'm going to listen in if that's all right with you.
Okay. Yeah, absolutely. So what are you hoping? What does the life by design mean to you? Why did
Well,
you choose to?
even sometimes in
come today?
leadership, we need to know how to, even though we make the time block, stick with the
You're
time block
breaking
that we
up.
create. Sorry, here. Can you hear me a little better now?
Yeah, much better.
Okay, I was gonna say, even with leadership, we create our calendars, we create our time blocks and everything like that. And we got to remember to stay with those things. So I'm hoping to actually stick to my time blocks, things like when I say I'm gonna be home at this time, doing it. So mine's more for the personal aspect.
Beautiful, beautiful. Okay, so I'm going to kind of give you the almost like the syllabus of today, and then we'll go back to the beginning and we'll get in the weeds with each little section. Okay. The life by design, in my opinion, is understanding what I want you to go back to the moment when you got a real estate license. Okay. And what I have found in years and years and years of being on the leadership side and being on the ALC and doing some recruiting and all that, I've had thousands of conversations with people about why they got into the real estate business. And they basically are all saying the same thing, which is they want to increase the quality of their life, right? They want to create a life by design. And the way that that generally manifests itself is in a couple different ways. Okay, number one is they have unlimited income opportunity. Would you all agree you have unlimited income opportunity?
Yes.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
You guys know there's people selling how literally, this is not a mistake, thousands of homes, right? Thousands. So it can happen, right? If you want to make 200,000, 600,000, 900,000, there's people doing it. Does everyone understands that that's all possible, right? Okay.
Me.
So the reason why a lot of people get it, what's that, Tracy?
I was saying anything's possible. Yes. I agree with you.
That's right. That's right. 100%. Okay. So the reason why people get into this business is because they want to control their income. They want to control their time, right? And they generally want some type of flexibility, right? In terms of like stability, flexibility, you know, they want to go to their kids' school function in the middle of the day. They want to, you know, take a long weekend, you know, they just want control over their hours. Okay. And with the potential for added income and the potential kind of flexibility with their time, they believe that that will create a more ideal life. Is everyone with me so far? So when you went to say to yourself, hey, I think I want to, you know, do this real estate thing. I want to go and get a real estate license. And my goal is to have this glorious life as a result. Anyone object to what I'm saying so far? Okay. So then we show up and we realize that we're actually not in the real estate business. We're in the lead generation business, and we just so happen to sell houses, right? And some people are, you know, learn that and they're like, oh my gosh, I can crush this. Like, and they go out and crush it. And then some other people realize that that's not what they were hoping for and they struggle. Okay. I believe one of the reasons why they struggle, probably the primary reason, is because they are not, there is some fuzziness, there's a lack of clarity on what the job description is, meaning like, how many people do I call? What am I supposed to do every day? What am I supposed to practice? Who am I supposed to practice with? Right? How do I, you know, use this technology and hire this person and all these kind of things? Just too much for them, right? Or they're not willing to give it the patience that it needs to grow. Okay, so when you get into the business, if you don't understand what you're supposed to do every day, meaning you don't know what winning looks like, then it's everything is really stressful. Okay. And if you don't have an emotional tie to the result that you're seeking, it can also be troubling, Because for example, let's say Ebony wants to sell 25 homes this year. Okay. Now, I've been in the business a long time. I don't think this is a secret. This can be stressful, right? You're gonna have to go on a lot of appointments. You're gonna have to deal with a lot of other agents. You're gonna have to have a couple disappointments, right? You're gonna lose somebody you thought you had. You know, you're gonna get one of your friends is gonna buy without you, right? You're gonna have a couple late nights. You're gonna have a couple nights when you're worried about deadlines. Like you're gonna have a couple of appraisals that come in low. Like it's gonna be stressful to some degree. Does everyone admit that? Willing to acknowledge that? If you don't have a big enough why as to why you're in the business, typically that's beyond I want to make money, it's going to be hard to put up with all that, right? Everyone follow me? So when the going gets tough, unless you are driven because of something that brings out kind of a strong emotion in you, you might struggle with all that it takes to hit your goals. Has anyone experienced that before?
I have. My why has changed a lot because my big why wasn't solid. And when I first started, my big why was for everybody else. Like, I'm going to do this because I'm going to make everybody else's life better. But not once did I say, Ebony, what's in it for you? Why did you go to school to get your real estate license? Why is it important to you? And then when I got to a point where it's just like, hey, screw everybody else, for lack of better words, why do you want it? And the moment that I started wanting this for me, my activity and the way, and I'm still fresh in it, but everything has changed and I have never wanted it. Today, I want it more than I thought I wanted it when I initially started my journey a long time ago, if that makes sense.
Yeah, it makes a lot of sense. And by the way, you're not being selfish, right? We all know that you're a person of integrity, that you're a hard worker. It's not like you're trying to scam a bunch of people, right? I think one of the things that is kind of a parallel is, you know, when you're on the airplane and they say, in the event of an emergency landing, please take your oxygen mask and put it on yourself and then go and help your neighbor, right? So if you're not getting your cup filled, Ebony, and you're not, kind of internalizing some of the reasons why you're willing to put up with the high stress of this business, then you're not gonna have any oxygen left, right? You got to make sure you're in good shape so that you can take care of your people. Does that make sense?
Yes,
Okay.
it does.
Okay, so let's go through the kind of the process, if you will. So we encourage you to complete a Life by Design form. We'll look at one of those in here in a second. Okay, the goal of the Life by Design form is to get super clear on what it takes financially for you to live a life by design, right? So we're going to look at where we want to spend the profit, how much your cost of sales are, what your operating expenses are, tax rates, all kinds of stuff. And the end goal of that Life by Design form is to know how many sales you need to have in order to hit your financial goals. Then we move on to the economic model, and I'll walk you through this whole process today. Okay. We next go to the economic model and we put in the number of sales that we're going to have. And then we have our average price range, of course. And then what it spits out of that is the number of appointments that you need, or the number of listings you need to take, or both, right? And then what also comes out of that is the standards in the standards for your business. Meaning, did I win today? Yes or no? Did I win this week? Yes or no? So we come up with standards. What does the word standard mean to you? Who wants to share?
A level of expectation.
Ebony, I love your participation. A level of expectation
On both ends, like it's like a bar.
Okay, good.
And it's your minimum. Your minimum, like at best,
I was hoping
this is
somebody
what you're
would say
going to
that.
do.
It is the minimum acceptable result. essentially, right? JC, were you going to add something? You're on mute.
No, I was just thinking the same thing, something that I would kind of like, I can't think of the words I want to use, something that I would, my standards would be something that I would hold something accountable to, kind of thing. I know I'm using the wrong words right now.
It's like a rule, basically. It's
Yeah.
like you wouldn't wear your gym clothes to church, right? Because there's a standard
My
kind of acceptable level of dress to go to church.
yeah, my expectation, something. Right?
Okay.
Yeah.
So what would an example
I
of?
think also standards reflect our values.
Tell me more about that, Candace.
Say what?
Tell me more about that, please.
So I think if my value, part of my value system is to have integrity in all areas. If I have an opportunity that isn't quite integrous, but it might make a lot of money, my standard then is that I don't do that. That reflects my values. My standard, if my value is excellent, then my standards are that I contact people when I say I'm going to, that I am committed to my time when I say I'm going to. So I think it's reflective of our values and how we feel about ourselves. And I think that's how our standards develop.
Okay, I think you're exactly right on that. That would be something like, I don't show up late to things, right? Say I'm going to be on time, I'm on time. If I'm not on time, call the cops. Something's going on, right? Except for 15-minute meetings, give me like 3 minutes grace, right? You see what I'm saying? So you should have standards in your business. I return all phone calls within 24 hours, right? I report my numbers every week to my coach, right? I say the following thing when I pick up the phone, right? I say the following thing when I close a phone call, right? I write emails a certain way, you know, these kind of things. Y'all follow that? Like, I don't go home until I speak to X number of people, right? If I have a listing goal of 2 and the month's about to end and I only have 1, I stick my home on the market because I'm taking 2 listings. No smiles or nothing.
We're smiling. That's funny.
You see what I'm saying? What?
I think Andy and Leslie should have said that as an idea today, that if you don't have enough listings, sell your own home.
I mean, I obviously I'm kidding, but the point is like, when we've talked about these ideas, when the standard let's say we set the standards and then life is happening and it looks like I might not hit my standard. When you're off goal, there's basically 2 routes you can go. The first is you change your activities so you can get back on track, right? Well, I guess I need to not watch the baseball game and instead go make some more calls so I can hit my numbers, because that's the standard, because my family is depending on this, right? Or another route is to say, well, I'll just change the goal, right? That's a great way to hit the goal. I'll go from needing 3 to needing 0. Now I feel better about myself, except for you're broke. You see what I'm saying? So are you the type of person that's going to change your activities, or are you the type of person that's going to change your goal? Now, it's okay. Many of us are the second one. I get it. Me too, sometimes. But sometimes on some stuff, maybe. On some stuff, never. You see what I'm saying? So every day is about getting 1% better, right? Do I need to tighten up my standards? Do I need to vocalize my standards, right? Do every once in a while I need to tell my standards to my people? Okay, so we're coming up with some metrics, right? I need to go on 3 appointments and I talk to 10 people a day, and I, send a text to my accountability partner at the end of every day saying how many contacts I had, right? I've told this story many times. When I was team leader, we used to have Andrea, who's the team leader in South Forsyth, and I were accountability partners for a while. And at the end of every day, she was going to text me how many people she met with that day and how many people she hired. And she was really good. Right. And I knew that that was coming at the end of every day. And so my day, was, that wasn't the only thing that motivated me, obviously, but like, I knew that if I had to say, well, I didn't talk to anyone today, I'm like, I don't belong. I'm wasting this person's time. You see what I'm saying? So what is your standard? What are your standards, and how would I know they're your standards? Okay. So once we know, let's say how many appointments we need, then we go to the lead generation model, which is to say, where are all these people going to come from? Right? Am I going to get these people from my sphere of influence, from pay-per-clicks, from buying leads, from social media, from some piece of technology, from business to business, from open houses, from door knocking, right? Where are these leads going to come from? And then most of us are essentially solo agents. And so meaning who's going to do all this work, right? So we make sure we understand what projects need to be created, right? Who's going to be out there in the field, meeting people, updating databases, putting signs on the ground, all that kind of stuff. And we have a very specific set of tasks that need to get done, right? If I'm going to get business and get appointments by open houses, we need to have this project done, that system created, that follow-up method done, right? This calendaring system, etc. So that's the lead generation model. That's the creation of the GPS. And then once you have the GPS, we encourage you to have a 411. A 411 looks like this. Notice how easy it was for me to find it. You notice that? That's because I'm staring at it all day. Okay, now the GPS, what's cool, I'm sorry, what the 411 here is, this is a list of all of my most important tasks based on the ways that I'm going to grow my business, right? So if doing the most important thing is the most important thing, why would we be working on something else? So you should be asking yourself during the workday, like while I'm at work, you should always be working on the most important thing, right? So you have to ask yourself next time you get distracted with a message or Facebook or whatever, you should be asking yourself, hey, I got a big goal here. And is what I'm doing right now the most important thing to drive my business forward? And if it's not, you should probably stop doing it. What do y'all hear? What are you hearing me say?
I'm hearing you say to really look into your goals and see, is this actually something that's going to move the needle, or is this just busy work? And defining that. That's what I'm getting from this. Because you can do all these things. You can get your business cards, your marketing, your signs, all these things to feel like a realtor. But if you're not out there actually getting leads, it doesn't matter. Doesn't matter.
I'm gonna have you be my co-instructor every time from now on.
No,
that was great.
That's not part of my life by design.
That's the whole message. That's the whole message. Ebony, what's so funny?
I'm laughing at Raven when she said that wasn't a part of her life by design. That was funny to me, but I agree with everything it is that
I missed that part. Like, what did you say?
You said that you were going to have her be your co-host, and she said that's not a part of her life design. I'm like,
oh yeah, funny. Okay, great. So okay, I love that. I missed that. So you would say, well, I looked on my list of priorities and I don't see being Bill's co-host on here. So I'm going to turn that one down. Right? Good job. Good job. I mean, when I used to, when I would give like Lee, for example, a task or a project or whatever, when I was working as a team leader, she had to basically pull me aside one day and say, hey, is what you just asked me to do more important than what you asked me to do 20 minutes ago, or what you asked me to do 3 days ago, or what you asked me to do 4 days ago? What's the priority here? And I said, thank you so much for asking that wonderful question. That's exactly what I wanted you to say, because I'm the idea guy and you're the executor. So if you're having trouble understanding what to execute first, it's my fault. So she was wonderful by coming to me and asking me that question. Y'all see what I'm saying here? Tracy, you look like you're a little
No.
confused.
Oh, no, I hear you. I got it.
Okay.
Mhm.
Okay. So then we say, here's the list of the most important things we have to get done. This is basically our 411. And the final step is getting it on the calendar, which is the time management we spoke about before. Okay. So if you're having trouble with time management, you have to ask yourself a couple questions. Number one is it that I don't have any, do I know how I'm supposed to manage time and I'm just like not looking at it? Or is all of the stuff that I just described really fuzzy and therefore I don't know what should be or is on my calendar? Or is it that you're trying to keep it all in your head and you haven't acknowledged that writing it down or having some piece of technology would probably be more beneficial? So those that mention a need for time management, where would you say your biggest time management issue is? Because if we don't address that, there ain't no way you're ever going to have a life by design. I'll wait.
You know, Bill, sometimes for me, it's not that I don't know what to do. Like I know what to do, but once I start to get in the process of doing, there's just like one piece that's holding me up. And then I just need to figure out how to do that or not feel like I'm wasting somebody else's time asking them. Like,
Okay, let's clear the, thank you for asking that question. I'm going to give you a fairly stern response to that.
Thank you very much. I knew you would.
Okay. Every single person that has a leadership role at our market center is paid to deal with all the things that you're curious about. Okay. So there should never, ever be a situation where you say, I really need this person's time, or I really need to ask, I need to get this thing addressed, but I don't want to feel like I'm wasting anyone's time. Stop that. I'm here, I'm speaking on behalf of the leadership team right now. Ask us what you need to ask us. We don't want you wasting time either. Okay. Raven, you think that's fair?
Absolutely. That's what
Okay.
we're here for.
That's what we are here for. So there are no dumb questions, right? The dumb question is really the one that somebody refuses to ask because they're too afraid of messing with anyone else's life. They're basically willing to allow somebody else to live their life by design, but almost intentionally not being willing to live their own. By the way, if you don't know what to do with all of your minutes and all of your hours, then you're essentially what you're essentially saying is I'm here. Let's actually do a little illustration here. Oh, hang on, that's my one sec. Okay, so can y'all see my calendar?
Yes.
All right, one moment. Come on. Oh my gosh. Okay, just a second. All right, calendar. I'm on one screen instead of my normal 3. I'm struggling today. Okay. Okay, can you see this right here? So this is an example of, I know that this can overwhelm some people. I get it. Okay, this is my calendar. Okay. It is basically proof that it's okay to know what you're supposed to do each minute of each day. Okay. What is taking so long? I'm sorry, give me one more second. If I've got time blocks in each one of these squares, it's because I have determined at a time that was not a super high level of stress, that task was the most important thing to do during that moment. Make sense? If I have left that blank free or open, what I'm essentially saying is I am willing to allow somebody else to dictate what my priorities are going to be during that time period. Does that make sense?
Mhm.
So, for example, this is, now it's starting to pop up. So this is my schedule for this last week, right? So during 11 o'clock to 12 o'clock on the 2nd, I was open. I was going to work on some projects that weren't necessarily day and time sensitive. And if somebody walked into the office, I could, give them some time, whatever. But if somebody came in at that time, I'm with Rachel King at that time. I'm not able to do that, right? So, however, if all of my calendar was blank, it would basically be saying, I got no priorities and I'm willing to allow everyone else's priorities to occupy my time. You follow that? Okay. I'm teaching right now, so can I come and find you in a few minutes?
I just wanted to say one thing.
Well, thank you. You can keep it.
Really
You can keep it. Okay. Does everyone see that? So if I were to go like this, that means I got nothing to do. And even if you don't have any clients, one of your things should be study pre-qualification questions, right? Learn a new skill in FMLS, right? Practice my scripts with my accountability partner. Go to virtual chart masters, right? Go to the morning huddle or whatever. Y'all see what I'm saying?
Mm.
Okay.
Yes.
Thoughts so far? I know we're kind of on the 30,000 foot view still. We're almost done. Does everyone kind of understand that connection between what do we want, why do we want it, and then let's work through a process of calculating what winning looks like so we know how to win, and then we acknowledge what? No, please no. Just for like one more hour. Thank you very much. I am on it. All right. Okay. If I ask for it, I need it right away. Okay.
Okay.
Okay. Sorry. All right. Kids are home. Will you close the door? Okay. Everyone follow that evolution. So we what do we want? We break it down to what are we supposed to do every day, week, hour, etc. And then we have a calendar that as long as we respect the calendar, we're going to build a life by design. Does everyone see that connection?
Yes.
Okay, thank you. Okay. Let me check to see what this is. Okay. So let's go to the life by design form for a second. Okay. Let me share my screen again with you, and I will walk you through what a sheet like this, looks like. Okay. So here it is from a let me describe the two different ways you can think this through. Okay, the vast majority of real estate agents will do the following. They will work real hard, try not to spend a lot of money, and then hope to God that the amount of money that's left over at the end of the year is roughly similar to the lifestyle that they've chosen to live. Okay. And Lily, you've got a little bit more experience than most on the call today. Is that about right? Do you find that that's what happens generally. And like, oh, well, that investment property that I wanted to buy, I guess that'll wait a year. Or, oh my gosh, something came up and used all my money, so I couldn't go on that vacation, right? It's so happenstance. Have you seen people suffer from that? All right, maybe she stepped away. So again, choice number one is work real hard, don't spend much money, see what happens. Not a great strategy. Number two is, why did I get into this business in the first place? Well, I got into this business so that I can have a great quality of life. I could create a life by design. I could do what I want when I want. As Candace mentioned, I'm not all that worried about money because I got money coming in, right? From profit share or some other investment or an annuity or whatever you've invested in, set up, passive or rental income, whatever, right? So what we want to do is we want to say, why did we get into the business in the first place? How do we win this year? Well, we win this year when I can pay off my debt, when I can buy that new car, when I can take my family on the cruise, when I can put money down on an investment property, when I can, put money into my kid's college account, whatever it is, right? And rather than hoping as your primary strategy, we say, we're just going to follow a plan that is predictable, and when it works as we would predict it would work, it's going to yield us X number of appointments, right? And that's when we go through the models. So we would say, well, what do I want to spend the profit on, right? So all of those things that I just earmarked are above and beyond my typical personal expenses and my typical business expenses, right? So in this scenario, I just wrote a few examples, right? Personal investment account, $10,000. Business investment account, $5,000. Business reserves, $10,000. We heard on the call yesterday, John Prescott said, don't even bother with farming if you only have 1 month of money to farm, right? If you can just afford the 1 month that you're thinking about sending out, don't even bother, because you're putting way too much hope in the very first round. And then you're going to judge whether you do the second and third and fifth rounds based on whether you made any money. We all know that farming takes more time than that, right? So wouldn't it be nice to have 10 grand in the bank where somebody says, oh my gosh, you got to hear Gary Keller speak. It's going to, you need a $300 flight and a $300 hotel room, and you got to take an Uber and you got to eat it and all these things. And you're like, well, I can't afford that, right? We want you to be able to have the financial wherewithal to take advantage of opportunities. If everything is check to check, you got no money for opportunities. God forbid somebody came to you and said, hey, you want to make this awesome investment? And you're like, well, I got no money, right? So let's go sell some houses so we can have some more options, right? So in this example, I said, why don't we put $10,000 aside for business reserves? And I said $2,500 aside for charity. So that's $27,500. Okay, I'm going to just change this one doc here. So I have us selling an average of $333,000 houses. We get a $10,000 commission check. So I backed out this 27.5, and I said, what are the taxes we're going to have to pay on that? I put it at 30%. So that's another 8 grand. You add it all together, that's 35,000 and change. And I will get all that stuff as long as I sell 4 houses. Just have to sell 4 houses to do it. Okay. So first, we're trying to figure out how many houses we have to sell. So first, we're going to say, how many houses do I need to sell for my profit goals? Okay, that goes first, not last. Well, if I have enough money left over, then I'll, make sure I can pay a little off of college so my daughter doesn't have debt. I'm way too intentional about that to leave it up to happenstance. And that's essentially the quality of life discussion, or the life by design discussion, is what are you more comfortable with? Wait, I want to read you an exact phrase. You have to be compelled more than you are uncomfortable. What do you think about that phrase? I am so compelled to help people in my community and earn an income from that so that I can send my kids to school debt-free. It
I
will
love
cause
that
me to be
phrase.
uncomfortable, and I don't care because I am more compelled by that goal than anything. Will I knock doors in the rain? Yeah, if I have to. I'd rather knock doors in the rain than send my kid to college with debt. What would you prefer to do? Send your kid to college with debt or get a little wet when it's raining? These are some tough questions. Okay, who was saying something?
I just said I love that phrase.
Okay, let's say it one more time. You have to be more compelled than you are uncomfortable. It's the same discussion as before. Are you the type of person that's going to change your activities, or are you the type of person that's going to change your goals? If you're more compelled, you'll change your activities. If you're like, changing my activities would mean that I can't watch this show on TV, or I got to stay at the gym longer, or whatever. It's okay. You're the type of person that's going to change their activity or their goals. And therefore, you probably won't live a life by design, quite honestly. Right? The research suggests that, what is it, 80-85% enjoy their job. So right there, 85% of the public is not living a life by design. Do you guys know how lucky you are to be in a business where you literally can control your time and your income? That's not common. With me?
We're only lucky if we do the work. If the
Oh,
work is not
okay.
done, none
Raven,
of it
you've
matters.
been
in it.
replaced. Ebony is my new candidate for co-host. That's exactly right. Exactly. Okay, so let's keep going. So after we pay our profit, after we pay the things that we actually want in a life by design, and there's no judgment here. If you want a boat, I mean, I don't need a boat, but if you want one, you can have one. You just have to make enough money to afford it, right? So there's no judgment here. You don't have to give to charity if you don't want to. It's up to you. Okay, so I just wrote down a couple of examples of personal expenses, right? Because we need a personal budget here too. Now, this document is kind of assuming that you're responsible for 100% of the income for your family. So for example, Ebony, let me just use your name for a second. So let's say that your family relies on $25,000 from you to for your family's overall budget. Okay, so that means that basically all the stuff outside of profit should just be $25,000, right? So you take all the money that's coming into the household, and then you account for essentially how much of this are you going to be responsible for. Okay, so house payment, food and groceries, restaurants, utilities, internet, TV, monthly payments like credit cards, student loans. You have any pet expenses, childcare, tuition, auto insurance, repairs, maintenance, gas, health insurance, life insurance, medical bills, entertainment, lifestyle, hobbies, miscellaneous, personal reserves, right? You want personal reserves. Okay, wouldn't it be nice not to, to have an emergency fund, right? Something breaks in the car and it costs a few $100, whatever, I got money. I'm selling homes, not stressed about that. You see what I'm saying? Somebody's making a fuss at the end of a deal. Oh, I need the HVAC system serviced, and everyone's yelling and screaming at each other. Okay, y'all, I'll pay for the damn thing. Just leave me alone. You see what I'm saying? In many instances, money can relieve you of the stress that you would otherwise have if you didn't have the money. You see what I'm saying?
Yes.
I'm gonna be honest with you guys. This is a little challenging. I don't see anyone's face. No one's talking. Okay, so let me know you're out there. Okay. Okay, so how much money do we need from a family standpoint to have the life that we desire, right? So let's say you're living in your parents' basement right now. Don't say that your house payment is zero. Say what it would be if you were living a life by design. Okay, well, life by design, I'd be having a $2,500 payment. Great. Let's go ahead and get you on a plan so that you can earn the income that requires. Okay, so in this scenario, we add back in the taxes, and it's $120,000 roughly. That's going to be 12 transactions. Hey, no big deal. Okay, I'm just looking for the plan right now. Okay, so now we got to pay some cost of sale. Everyone should know what cost of sale are versus expenses. I'll give you a quick shortcut. Cost of sale are things that only happen when there's a sale. Okay, so paying the market center their 30% is a cost of sale. If you don't have a closing, you don't have to pay it. So is FMLS. Now, Georgia MLS is part of the monthly fee, which you pay regardless of units or of sales, right? So if it is dependent on a sale and it's only applicable if there's a sale, like FMLS fee, like a coaching fee, perhaps like royalty fee, then it's a cost of sale. Okay, so in this person's example, they pay $15,000, they pay $3,000 for the royalty, they pay $10,000 for productivity coaching, that's $28,000. Then they pay the taxes on that, that's 36 and change, and I can pay that no problem. So as long as I have another 4 sales. Does everyone see how I'm doing this? Okay, and finally, we look at the Millionaire Real Estate Agent book to identify what are the expenses that a millionaire real estate agent, or really any real estate agent, would incur. Okay, we got salaries, benefits, professional services. That's things like, you know, paying somebody to make a flyer for you, or paying an assistant or virtual assistant. That could be professional services, might be like the money you pay to your CPA every year to do your taxes. By the way, you need a CPA. Okay. Lead generation and listings management. Occupancy, do you pay for an office, right? Office supplies, you know, computer, printer, fax machine, markers, paper clips, all that kind of stuff. Communication technology, do you use different types of software for stuff? Do you use things like BombBomb or a texting message system, or do you pay for Forewarn or any of these things? You should be tracking all of these expenses, right? And you say, gosh, that's hard. Yeah, it is. So is having a big business. Okay, so is having a high quality of life and a life by design. It is challenging. There's a lot to do, right? That's why we talk so much about people, right? Put some smart people around you, right? Yes, go ahead.
So when you're tracking your expenses, because expenses, I'm committed to doing it right this year.
Yep.
You do it monthly, you do it weekly, like with everything, because I've been keeping track in my head, and thank God it's only February, because it's going to get lost soon. But that was on my list before February to do January, and I hadn't. But what's your process of making sure that you are calculating everything?
All right, great. I'm gonna give me a couple minutes. I'm gonna come back to that. Okay. I got a whole spreadsheet to show you. Okay, so once we identify what our expenses are and add taxes back in, we say, hey, we'll get these expenses paid, no problem. So as long as we have 7 units to sell. So we add all that up and we say, hey, in order for this person to live their life by design, they need 26 sales. Okay. So that now is the end result of the Life by Design document. That is what it's supposed to do. It is to clearly help push them to think about all the reasons they got into the business so that they can go earn the amount of money that they need to pay for it all. Does that make sense? So you ought to be saying to yourself, if I lack a financial tracker, if I lack a business or personal budget, if I've never actually researched how much it would cost to, you know, quit my part-time job and go get insurance on a different marketplace, or if I've always wanted to take this, you know, trip to Spain, but I've never bothered to look up how much it cost, right? You follow what I'm saying? So it's a matter of let's get in the weeds a little bit. Okay. Okay. So with all that said, this is the end result. This person, if they're going to have a Life by Design and pay for it, they're going to need 26 sales. Everyone follow me so far? What's your biggest aha so far? Everyone take themselves off the mute and tell me what you learned so far.
Well, I'm learning more because I've seen like this template before. Each and every time, whether it be you going through it or Aubrey, I understand it just a little bit differently and more intensely, and I know how to use it better. So whereas I'm not just deer in headlighting it, something so small, like cost of sales, like 6 months ago, I'm like, oh, I got it, I know it. Now that just sat so deeply in me, like, boom, duh, Ebony, that makes sense. So it's just more of the small things and the repetition that's helping me become, or getting better at being, a business owner and a realtor.
Great. Thank you for sharing that. That's perfect. Who else?
I would say one of my ahas, Bill, is knowing that one, you got to definitely prioritize your goals, and then just your daily task, holding yourself more accountable and being more self-disciplined. And then just, in real estate, seems like we have a million jobs, and every job still has 3 or 4 different tasks, under that. So it's just learning the details.
Exactly. And it's getting 1% better every day. So if you say, oh my gosh, this task has 6 things that I'm not sure I'm clear on. Okay, well, which one are you going to get clear on today? And which one are you going to get clear on tomorrow? Right? Because in all honesty, how many days is that good excuse do you want me to give you before I call bullshit? Before I say, hey, that's no good anymore. No more, excuse me. I'm not accepting the fact that you are, quote, new to town, and that's why you have no one in your database. You chose to be a realtor. Go build a database. How many more weeks and months should I tolerate that excuse? Is that what you're going to tell the mortgage company? You see what I'm saying? Come on, y'all. Come on. It's interactive.
No,
All right. You with me? What?
Just really knowing your big why, understanding your big why, and plugging it in, and just going out there and doing the work for sure, and just having systems together so that okay.
And I think the biggest thing, in my opinion, is it's going to work every day, right? It's don't tell yourself that work doesn't start at a certain day. Start work at a certain day and end work at a certain day, right? Those are your standards, right? Don't just sleep until you wake up. Set an alarm if you need to. Go give it an honest day's work, man. If you would just give it an honest day's work and lead generate for 2 to 3 hours a day, you would make so much money you wouldn't know what to do with it. Okay. That's all there is to it. You just have to make more calls, or meet more people, or follow up better, or deliver more value. Okay. Okay. So the end result is, how many sales do we need to have to be able to afford this? Everyone with me so far?
Mm-hmm.
All right.
Yes.
Let's talk about the financial stuff. Ebony's question for 1 second. Lily, did you want to say something?
No, sorry.
Okay. All right. So here's a document that that we created for productivity coaching, which is basically January through December, and it itemizes basically everything we just went over. Okay. So it's GCI. So these are the dollars that you earned in the month of January. Okay. Then we're looking for cost of sale. So we're going in, we're saying, did I split anything with the market center this month? Did I pay any royalty fee? How much did I pay in FMLS fees? Right? Did I have any outgoing referrals or buyer agent splits? What did I pay to PC coaching, and what's the total cost of sale? Okay. So you asked me, am I tracking it weekly, monthly? Honestly, it's probably the most efficient thing to do is to have a spreadsheet just like this, where you can put in things like the cost of sale, how much money is coming in, what are you spending on cost of sale, and then have a business credit card that is just nice and simple, where if it's a business expense, you put it on the business credit card. At the end of every month, you look at the statement and you say, oh, well, that's marketing, oh, that's car, oh, that's salary, oh, that's, for office supplies or whatever. And you put it in the tax stack and you look at it again in a month, right?
Thank you.
So I would pay attention, do a quick scan of it every week probably, but definitely record it every month. Okay. So then we're going a little further. This is the operating expenses. Okay, compensation. Compensation comes in the form of a few different ways: salaries and benefits and professional services. Okay, so what did I do in here? That reminds me, I need to freeze that cell, right? One sec. Okay, so as I'm scanning down, I can still see the January, February, right? So lead generation, prospecting and marketing. We learned yesterday, it's a combination of prospecting and marketing, both of which are probably going to cost a little bit of money. Okay, and listings management. Listings management might be paying the person to install the sign, or contract to close, staging. I have some ideas down here, right? Paying somebody to put the listing in itself, right? Okay, and then the millionaire real estate agent topics: occupancy, education, coaching, office supplies, communication technology, automobile equipment, insurance, charity, food and entertainment, client gifts, etc. So it doesn't have to be overly complicated. You can use something like this. You could use QuickBooks or any of that kind of thing. Make sense?
Yep.
Make sense?
Yes.
Okay. Now, next thing we want to focus on, okay, is the economic model. So we go to hang on one second. Oh, here we go. Okay, the economic model. So now we've determined this person wants to sell 26 homes, or let me rephrase that. If this person is going to live the life by design that they specifically identified, it is a mandate that they sell 26 homes. Okay. The only way that would change is if something drastically changes in their life by design. They win the lottery, right? The kid gets a scholarship to college or something. Or they sell different types of property, right? More expensive properties. Okay. So we put in 26 homes into and there's countless ways of calculating this stuff, or countless different models or spreadsheets, but this person's going to sell, let's say, 26 properties. Okay, let's say they're going to sell average seller and average buyer of 350, 3% average commission. They're going to get half buyers, half sellers, right? So in this scenario, they are going to make $136,500 from working with buyers and sellers separate, for a total of $273,000, $9.1 million in sales volume. Okay. So we did a little bit of math here, and we said, based on average conversion rates, I said seller appointment to take-in is 65%. So once you take the listing to getting it closed, 80%. Buyer appointment to take-in, 65%. Buyer taken to close, 75%. Okay. If you're saying to yourself, those numbers are low, I take all the listings I go on, you don't go on enough listings. It's just that simple. If you took 3 listings last year and all 3 were your friends, no wonder you took all 3 listings. But if you have a goal to sell 26 homes, you're probably going to have to communicate with some strangers. So you want to factor in those typical conversion rates. Make sense? Okay, great. So now what we see here is this is what winning looks like from a seller perspective. The second most important number is 27. But we believe, based on those conversion ratios, that if you go sit down and do a needs analysis and close 27 sellers, you will be able to select the 17 you want to do business with. Y'all notice how I said that, right? I didn't say 17 will pick you. I told you, you will pick the 17 that you want to do business with. Okay. And according to our conversions, 13 of them will close. Slightly different on the buyer side. You need to sit down with 28 buyers, 18 of them you'll pick, and 13 you'll close. So if all you got to do to make $273,000 and live that life by design is to go on 55 appointments per year. If we divide by 12 and round up, that's 5. So we believe that if you go on 5 appointments, you're on track. If you don't go on 5 appointments, you're not on track. Okay. That'll have 35 closings. I'm sorry, 35 listings taken. Divide by 3, or I'm sorry, divide by 12 and round up. That's 3 a month. And then you will close 2 and change, but rounded up, it's 3, 26. Follow what I'm saying? We also create some additional standards here. So you would say, my standard is 26 families I'm going to help. My standard is I go on 5 appointments per month. My standard is I get 3 unique people to agree to work with me exclusively each month. And that increases my likelihood of sitting at 26 closing tables during the course of the year.
I have a question.
Yeah.
So if your average seller point is 350, but let's just say that for whatever reason, one of your clientele falls below that, do you then try to take a listing above the 350, maybe this 375 to make up for that? Or do you just add someone else onto this to make sure that you're meeting your numbers?
Either of those would be acceptable, but I mean, you should never be like intentionally trying to like, pursue a number that's below your kind of desired number or your typical number, but it's average, meaning you're going to have more, so you're going to have some over 350 and some below 350. That's why it's so important to take your temperature every week, right? And certainly every month. Hey, are the people I said I'm going to work with $350,000 buyers? Is that actually happening? Say, oh my gosh, this is like 3 weeks in a row or 3 months in a row. I'm actually working with 475 on average. Okay, we'll go plug in 475 and you don't have to work as hard anymore. You see what I'm saying? Unless you just want to make more money, have more things, or take more time off or whatever, right? It could also go the other way. Oh my gosh, it's like 3 weeks in a row, or 3 months in a row, I can't get anyone over 300. Okay, well, your average price may not be 350. You might have to go back in and work a little harder, book more appointments. Okay, so it's just an awareness thing, Ebony. You just want to make sure that you understand what the reality is versus what you forecasted. Another standard here is that you speak to 14 people 20 days out of the month. If you do that, we believe, based on our research, that you'll hit the 5 appointments. By the way, you're probably going to have to set more than 5. You might have to set 7 or 8. So maybe your standard is at the end of the week, you text me or your accountability partner, hey, according to my Life by Design plan, I need to sit down, or I need to set 2 appointments per week. And here are the, I set an appointment with Sally Jane and I set an appointment with Tom. See what I'm saying? It's like, great, sounds like you're on track. But if Friday rolls around and you hadn't set any appointments, what are you willing to do? What sacrifice are you willing to make so that you can achieve your Life by Design? That's why so few people have Life by Designs. It's because it's hard. With me?
Yes, we're with you.
Yes.
Okay. Now the takeaway from this document is how many listings do we need to take? And for listings, I'm talking about seller listing agreements or exclusive buyer agency agreements. Either one is basically the same, okay? So in this example, if you take 3 new listings per month, you're on track. The only thing that's going to get you off track is if your ratios turn out to be inaccurate or your pricing turns out to be inaccurate. Make sense? All right, beautiful. So those can become your standards. So what do we do after standards? Then we have to go to the GPS. Okay, let me give you let me show you this document. The GPS is we've also referred to it in the past as the 1-3-5. Okay, 1 goal, 3 priorities, 5 strategies. Okay, now I've seen a lot of different ways of identifying. Well, let me start with the 1. The 1, I think the 1 should only be one of 2 things from a real estate perspective. The 1 should be one of 2 things, either income or appointments, because that'll drive everything else. So my 1 goal for the year is to make $200,000, right? Or my 1 goal for the year is to sit down with 55 human beings and present to them about what real estate, how to be strategic in real estate, right? Okay, so I have seen, then the three is the 3 priorities. Okay, the way that I'm going to achieve this goal is through these 3 priorities. So let's say we're doing, by the way, this structure, goal setting structure, can be used for any goal. So let's say, for example, you wanted to lose weight. Okay, if you wanted to lose weight, what do you think would, let's say I want to lose 20 pounds this year. What are 3 priorities that you think could be in place? What are any priorities? Just name a few on how we might do that. Give me an example.
Diet, nutrition, exercise.
Beautiful. I'd say that's 2. So diet, nutrition are 1, probably. Exercise is 2. And then I might say, can anyone think of another one?
Maybe actual plan.
Well,
Like
the plan, okay, I'm glad you said that. We're building the plan. The plan is gonna, we're about to get into the specifics of the plan. So like diet will have a plan. It will
You have to know
5
what you're
specific
eating.
strategies. It'll have 5 specific strategies on how we're going to use the priority of diet to hit our goal. So a third thing, Ebony, what were you going to say?
that if you don't know what you're intaking, let's just say that someone they like pasta a lot or they like sugar. So if you even take it a step further and with your dieting, or I more like to call it lifestyle change, remove that or cut that one thing back, that can then help
So
that
that's a
weight loss
strategy.
goal too. Like you have to get very detailed and fine print in order to get the bigger goal. So it's not, so it won't be a shutdown moment. It seemed like too much.
Okay, so that would be another example of a strategy. Getting in the weeds with diet, which would mean, hey, if I don't want to eat any carbohydrates, I look at around my kitchen and get rid of all the carbohydrates, right? If I want to stop drinking soda, I stop buying soda, right? So like that's a specific strategy. But a third priority, this is probably getting in the weeds a little bit, but a third priority might be education, right? Or a third priority might be accountability. So I'm going to watch a video or read a book on health, so I learn more about, trends and, should I try fasting? Should I try, weight work? Should I try, should I understand the difference between a carb and a sugar? Or should I understand the difference between natural sugars and artificial sugars, right? It may be learning as a part of it, right? Y'all follow where I'm going with all that? Okay, so there's a few different ways to separate the financial goal for real estate. For newer agents or solo agents, I think my favorite is the 3 different lead strategies, the lead generation strategies. I will achieve the goal of hitting 55 appointments this year because I will earn a certain number of them through open houses and a very detailed open house strategic strategy. I will earn some of them through the use of social media and technology, and I will earn some of them through farming, or I will earn some of them through working my 36 touch plan with my sphere, right? Okay, you can split it up a few other ways: leads, listings, leverage, appointments, database growth, personal development, systems, tools, people, build the database, feed the database, touch the database, listing transactions, buyer transactions, customer care, production, profit, people, sphere, strangers, online, lots of different things. Follow what I'm saying? So I'm going to go, I'm going to X out of that. And I'm going to show you an example of what I mean. Okay. So let's say, for example, we want to use, let's see what pops up. We want to use open houses as an example. So in this example, our goal is to sell 20 homes. Okay. One of the priorities is to host 48 open houses. Okay. Now that's the priority. That's a lead generation strategy, right? Then we have the details of the strategy, right? So we're going to host 3 weekend days and 1 Thursday night monthly. So that makes up the 48. Hosting open houses, not clear enough. You could technically host 1 and say, yeah, I hosted open houses, or host 2, I guess. Oh, I did open houses. I tried it. Well, not really, right? Are you going to commit to do whatever it takes? You're going to do an open house every night if you need to, in order to get the amount of business you need to get from it, because we're all chasing this thing we call quality of life, right? Now, if it's a repetitive strategy, if it's something that has to happen over and over again, it should have a metric involved, right? Meaning I'm going to host 48 open houses rather than I'm going to host open houses, right? I'm going to do 100 jumping jacks rather than I'm going to do jumping jacks. Follow? Then you probably have some projects involved. So you might have to have a system for what happens prior to the open house. You might have to have a system that would be things like, what day do I knock on the doors? When do I post it on FMLS? When do I post it on Facebook? When do I select the open house? When do I put the signs out? Like all that stuff. Then you probably need a system for the day of the open house. Day of the open house would be things like, how many sign writers do I stick out? Where do I buy my balloons, right? What colors do I buy? How many do I buy? What's the sign-in sheet look like? What's the sanitation station look like? Do I require booties? Do I require masks? Do I have a system of making sure everyone signs in, right? What happens day of, right? So the reason why I have deadline there is if it's a project, it needs a deadline, meaning I will develop a pre-open house strategy by February 10th. Okay, so you force yourself to say, hey, that probably is going to take me 2 hours to do, and I'm going to allot a certain 2-hour slot on my calendar to do it prior to February 10th so that it gets done. Then I don't have to worry about it anymore. I just run the play. Okay, develop a system for post open house day, and you have a deadline there. Maybe you need some supplies. When are you going to buy the supplies by? Post open house would be like, okay, well, you send them a handwritten note. Do you put them on a smart plan? Do you send them some other listings? Do you put them on a tickler of some sort? Like, what do you do after you secure that lead, right? Because remember, if they go to your open house, they're probably going to other open houses as well. So then it becomes a contest essentially on who can deliver the coolest value the most intensely and frequently and directly from any of the other agents who hosted open houses that they happen to walk into. If you think that person just walked into your open house and they're still going to be interested in working with you if you call them on Thursday and be like, hey, 6 days ago we met at an open house, and they're like, dude, I'm already under contract. Thursday is not fast enough. I needed something at like 6 o'clock or 9 a.m. the next morning. You see what I'm saying? Sorry, I went to another open house that day and that agent was really assertive and delivered a bunch of value. And, I actually went with them. I'm already under contract. Sorry. Make sense? Okay, so that's an example of how to break down one of the priorities. So you break down one of the 3 priorities, or 3 priorities with ideally around 5 strategies per. Okay. Just another example real fast would be holding 40 open appointments via cold calls, right? So what are some specific strategies that I'm going to use to execute on that priority? Well, I'm going to study my scripts 30 minutes a day, Monday through Friday, and my partner is, right? I'm going to learn the platform of Vulcan 7 and study best practices by, right? Vulcan 7 is where you can get the data. Begin calling at 9 a.m. daily with the goal of setting 1 appointment a day, right? Develop a tracking system and smart plan for all prospects. It's a project, so it needs a deadline. Create and maintain pipeline of 12-month prospects by and maintain it weekly. You should probably say daily. See what I'm saying? So now we've started to identify some of the tasks that need to get done. So then we take that and we move it to the 4-on-1. Okay. Now here's an example of a 90-day GPS. Okay. And this one I said, we're going to sell 6 units in the second quarter. We're going to do that by having 6 appointments a month, 18 total appointments in the next 3 months. In order to secure those appointments, we're going to make 20 contacts a day and commit to the DTD2 with database. We're going to have a social media plan and video strategy. We're going to have Zoom meetings with other professionals 1 a month. we're going to share the app or the neighborhood nurture 3 times a day. And we're going to surprise and delight somebody once a day. Okay, so if you got to surprise and delight somebody once a day, is it on your 411? Is it in your calendar? How do you remind yourself? And when do you check it off that it got done? Right? So you got to build this stuff, then you got to maintain this stuff. Database. In order to help use database as a way to make sure these units get closed, I believe that I need to add 60 people to my database per month. That's let's say 3 a day. Okay, we don't work every day. It's a life by design. Y'all want to work every day? Good. I'll take that as a no. Okay. So 180 people we'll have in our database 90 days from now. We're going to spend $100 on Facebook ads. We're going to develop a vendor relationship database and add 10 to that per week. We're going to create a pipeline of our hottest prospects, right? We're going to host open houses 4 a month. We're going to call expireds and old expireds 10 a day. We're going to host a client event and seminars with vendor sponsors, et cetera, because we need to meet some strangers. Okay. So it's you identify the fact you need to meet some strangers. You attach a metric to it to tell you whether you're on track and winning. Then you decide what you're going to have to do to get there. And then it needs time in your calendar. Y'all follow all that? Okay. Okay. So now I'm going to show you the 4-on-1 is I actually have a little bit of a kind of an odd 4-on-1 the way that it looks right now. Yeah, I'll show you an old one. Okay. Any questions?
No, this is great. Thank you.
Okay. This is a this is a 4-on-1 from when I was TL. Okay. So the structure here is that you have annual goals and they separate it into job, business, personal, financial, and personal. Okay. Monthly and weekly. All right. So job and business. Who knows the difference between job and business?
Employee, employer. Like the
Okay,
employee.
put a real estate spin on that. What would you put as a real estate business owner under job, and what would you put under business?
So under job, I would do lead gen, going to open houses, purchasing the items that I needed to. No, I'm gonna stick with lead gen. Yeah, okay. Well, purchasing the stuff that I needed, for my open houses. Under business owner, it's making sure that, let's just say that I'm renewing my registration, for my business, making sure that I make enough money so that I have lights for the business.
Okay, yeah, you're doing great on that. So job is like you can think about your real estate business separated into 3 categories. Okay, this is very much oversimplified, but let's say you have the category of lead generation, operations, and sales. Okay, as a solo agent, you got all those jobs. So you're the inside salesperson, the outside salesperson, you're the flyer maker, you're the runner, you're the bookkeeper, you're the buyer's agent, the lead buyer's agent, the showing agent, the seller's agent, right? You're all those people. Okay, so that's your job. Those are your responsibilities to keep the business operating. But you're also the CEO of the place. The CEO is where you really think about it, the business, right? It's it's your coaching, it's your continuing education, it's your staying compliant, it's your vision making, right? It's your, I want to hire an assistant before the end of the year type things, right? So you're writing down all from your plan, from your GPS, or oftentimes several GPSs, not to make it overcomplicated, but you might have a GPS for job, business, personal, financial, personal. Like my assistant has a GPS. I had a GPS for profit share. You know, any goal that's important to you should have certain things that need to get done that you worked backwards to figure out, right? So that's where it encourages you to say personal. Okay, well, I wanted to read 30 books. I wanted to take 2 family trips. I wanted to take 2 trips with just my wife, right? I wanted to start a book. I wanted to meet my VA, right? My personal financial is I wanted to have, I wanted to do a wholesale flip. I wanted to put $10,000 in a giving fund. So whenever somebody came to me and said, hey, can I have money for this cost? Yeah, here, I believe in that. Here's $100. And think twice. You see what I'm saying? So I wanted to put money aside for that. I wanted somebody to, you know, I wanted some money for a market center investment, or I wanted to take this special trip with my family, right? So I put all these priorities here because that's an annual goal. Then I break it down into monthly goals. So here I said, well, I want to have 300 people in Roswell. Okay, well, that was going to require I have a certain number of appointments and I hire a certain number of people, right? So I broke that annual goal down into the weekly, or I'm sorry, the monthly goal. And then I broke the monthly goal into the weekly goal. And then this just basically became my, my tracker, right? So during this week, I knew I had to make a certain number of appointments. I knew I had to make a certain number of calls. I knew I had to show up to a certain number of coaching meetings. I knew I had to meet with my sales team a certain frequency. I wanted to, you know, go on a date night or two date nights. I wanted to exercise a certain number of times. I wanted to read a certain number of books. You know, I wanted to, you know, do all these projects and these kind of things, right? So it's a breakdown of this is the 4 weeks, 1 month, 1 year. Okay. So the idea here is that you have, with super intentionality, you have determined what the Life by Design is. You've determined how to finance it. You determine what metrics are involved in the standards and how you know if you're winning or not. Then we've created some specific strategies on how to continue to get you there. Then we have put it into a tracker where it's basically the most important things you can be working on. So let me show you an example physically how this works, right? So let me give you two examples here. You tell me which one you think is going to be more effective. I kind of roll into my office space and I sit down and I say, oh, here's my 401. This is a very specific list that I created when I had no stress. And it specifically says my personal, financial, business, and job responsibilities and commitments, such that I execute on all this stuff and I make the type of money I need to live the life by design. Follow me? And I get started on this stuff. That's one. The second option is I don't have a document like this, and I sit down at my workstation if I'm lucky enough to have determined that it was valuable. And I say, I'm not really sure what I should be working on today. I wonder if anyone texted me. Distraction. Wonder if anyone emailed me. Let me just go see if there's anything urgent going on my email. Next thing you know, you've wasted 2 hours. Basically, what you're saying is everyone else's non-priorities have taken precedence over your priorities. Okay. For those of you who have not heard me say this, in the history of the world, there has never been an emergency email. Okay. Ebony, if you got to get something to me, if you need me to communicate some kind of thing to me and it's urgent, are you going to send me an email or are you going to call or text me?
I'm gonna call or text.
Of course.
Emails aren't urgent.
That's right. Now, what are emails generally? They're usually to-dos, right?
Yeah, like
I need to
wanted to
email
get
somebody
to it.
some comps. I need to email somebody else's information, right? So it is a non-priority to me. It's my 80%. Still got to get done, but it's in my 80%. And I'm going to send it to Ebony at whatever time is reasonable for me so that I can check it off the list. So it's a non-priority of mine. Now it ends up in Ebony's email address or in her email folder, right? Now, Ebony, who let's say that she is incredibly focused on the things that matter most, she's not going to allow my email to take time out of her focus. So she's going to put it to the side and say, oh, it's an email, so it can't be important. Let me rephrase that. It cannot be so urgent that it replaces my most important activity. Okay. And therefore, I'll deal with it later. Okay. So if Ebony behaves the other way, which is she says, oh, an email, I got to take care of this email so I don't have to make any more of these calls. She's taken my non-priority and made it her priority. So you think she's going to get all the things that need to get done in her world, the most important things done, if that's the way she behaves? I don't think so. Okay. All right, what questions do we have so far? We got one little segment left and then we're done. What questions do we have so far? You have to be more compelled than you are uncomfortable. See what I'm saying? Okay. The final segment is about accountability. Okay. It's kind of like what I mentioned to you earlier about like the end of the day text, right? It's, hey, I set 2 appointments and I hired 1 person today. Okay. So I hit my goals. Now I can go home and not think about work, right? Because I'm on track. I know what the track is and I'm doing the behaviors that are necessary and I'm on track. Okay. So when I sit down with my coach, we're talking about the future. If I'm off track, we don't get to talk about the future. We have to talk about the past, right? What happened? What got in the way? How do you feel about that? How's it going to change next time? You follow me? So the more accountability that you allow into your world, the more likely you are at staying on track. For example, if I want to lose 20 pounds, let me give you 3 options. I want to lose 20 pounds before the end of this year. Okay, so I got a couple of choices. I can weigh myself every morning and make adjustments to my behavior and my eating and my exercise. That's one option. I weigh myself every first of the month and make adjustments. That's option number 2. And thirdly is I weigh myself the first day of each quarter and make adjustments. Which one do you think I'm going to be most likely to lose the weight? Daily, yes. Okay, exactly. So how often are you taking the temperature of your business? How often are you taking the temperature of your pursuit of your goals? Right? You are like, your score is what it is. Just because you ignore it doesn't mean you didn't earn 1 listing this week or you earned 0 listings this week. That's what we say. We don't get listings, we earn them. If you didn't take a listing this week, it's because you didn't earn a listing this week. Right? I know that sounds a little harsh, but there were listings taken. This wasn't by you. Right? So what are you prepared to do about that? If you want something that you don't have, or you want more of something you don't have enough of, then my question to you is, what are you willing to sacrifice to get there? There's no wrong answer. You might say, well, you know what? I'm more compelled to stay comfortable than I am to stay uncomfortable or to become uncomfortable. Okay, great. So you'll probably live a relatively average life, right? If you want exceptional results, you have to have exceptional habits. Right? Ebony, that's probably becoming more and more clear to you as you learn more and more about running a business, right?
It is. I feel like I'm growing by leaps and bounds daily, but it's the effort that I'm putting in as well. Like I want to grow by that, amount.
Right, but you want to, you have this new level of commitment because you don't just want to grow. You want to grow so that you can share the growth with somebody else, so that you can help somebody make a great real estate decision, so that you can, you know, have something or get something or whatever in exchange for the time you spent with it, right? So it's deeper than just like wanting to like take a picture at a closing saying you got paid or something, right? Because that'll get old. That makes sense?
It absolutely, it's way bigger than that. You know, that's kind of the same as, and you know, we can all fall into that category, like, oh, I took a listing, or oh, I got a buyer. And then you stop working because you're so heavily focused on that, that your business just starts slipping. And until you've done that a couple times, you'll realize it's toxic to yourself, and it's toxic to your business. Like, you can't stop working because you got
Yeah,
one
it's
piece of business. Like,
toxic to your quality of
Microsoft
life
doesn't run like
and
that.
your life by design.
Yeah.
Right. Okay, so I think that's probably a good overview of the life by design. Did you guys hear or learn what you were hoping to learn today? Lily, I know, let me start with you. You've quote, never been to a life by design class. Was this helpful? Was this what you expected? Do you have any follow-up questions?
Well, I didn't have any expectations, but yes, that was very helpful.
Well,
A
hopefully I
little
exceeded
over,
them then, right?
I'm sorry?
I said, if you didn't have any expectations, my hope is that I exceeded your expectations,
Oh,
right?
yes, absolutely. A little overwhelming. So like, what do we do? Are you going to send us that file? Are we going to plug in the numbers? Do we make an
Wait,
appointment
you're
with
breaking up.
somebody? Oh, I'm sorry. Hold on. Let me see if I connect to my Wi-Fi if it's better. I was saying a little overwhelming with I've done a 411, I've done a GPS, just like the standard. Your sheet is very comprehensive, and I'm thinking, will you be sending that out? Will we be plugging in numbers? Should I make an appointment with someone and sit down and do this? Like, oh my gosh, like that was great information. What do I do now?
Send me I'm going to put my cell phone in the chat. Just send me a message and I'll send some stuff to you. I'll send a couple of these things to you privately. Okay.
Okay. Yeah. Cause I'm like,
Here's my number.
okay. Yeah, I
Send me
need
your
to
email
sit
address.
down. I need to sit down and put this in and put it together and have like a clear roadmap.
Exactly. Exactly.
Yeah.
Okay. Who else wants to share an aha from today?
I would say I'd be more compelled than uncomfortable is a really big aha. Just like getting over some of your limiting limiting beliefs. Just like being uncomfortable sometimes is breaking through and you fall off, like when you're legion and stuff. Because if you want to get the life that you want to live, you have to get over that uncomfortableness and be compelled by your dreams and goals and aspirations.
All right. Say that. I'm going to have you say that one more time. You cut out for a minute.
Sorry, I was just saying, be more compelled than uncomfortable is just letting you stay focused on your goals and letting those overcome, you know, those uncomfortable times, whether it be lead gen, whether it be getting face to face with customers, you know, staying on task, just being compelled and looking at the overall goals and getting over the little hurdles.
Yeah. Are you being the type of person who's going to run a real estate business that earns that person a high quality of life or a life by design? Do you have habits that resemble that person? Right? It's like have you ever heard the phrase, you should have goals so big you have to become a different person in order to achieve them? Right? Like, if let's say I wanted to run a marathon this year, like, this dude ain't running a marathon. If I'm going to pull that off, I'm going to have to become somebody different, that like they eat differently, they exercise differently, they rest differently, etc., in order to hit that goal. So en route to that, I'm going to have to be more compelled to become that person than I am uncomfortable with the fact that it's work I'm not used to, right? I mean, Jonathan, you got big muscles, right? Those things didn't just show up one day. You had to work at it every single day. And some days you probably went to the gym when you were a little sore, yes?
Yep.
You were more compelled to get into that shape than you were uncomfortable with the pain or whatever, right?
Right.
Same concept.
Strategic.
Yeah, same. Yeah, and strategic is like, okay, well, it's gonna, since I have to eat a certain type of food, I need to go, it's gonna take me extra time to buy it and to package it up and to bring me a cooler to work and all these extra things that you got to do in order to, you know, not eat the stuff that they bring into the office. Okay, well, are you more compelled to eat healthy, or are you more comfortable with just eating whatever shows up? Same idea. Okay, Ebony, Tracy, Lily, John, want to share anything else before we sign off?
No.
Just that the numbers matter. Like, that is the one thing that matters. Like, if you're not tracking yourself to see where you're at, then there is no standard, because where does that line begin and where does it end? And how do you know that you're exceeding that bar if there isn't anything? So the more you pay attention to your activities and track your numbers, you will grow and become better at what it is that you're trying to do.
Mhm.
Yeah, the thought that came to mind there was like, you know, being, let's say, like a football player, a football game, right? As the game gets closer and closer to the end, you start paying attention to the score and the time differently, right?
Yeah.
We will do some more running plays because this is the score, this is where we're at, right? Oh, I need to run some time off the clock. Oh, I need to keep the time on the clock, right? So like you asked earlier, should I like strategically go after different price range people? You just got to be paying attention to everything, right? If I wrote a check to this guy and he told me he was going to do this thing and he's not doing it, I'm going to quit writing checks to him, right? So every investment that you make with your time and every investment that you make with your capital, you need to make sure is getting you the results that you were seeking. Otherwise, it shouldn't be done, right? So Precious, just so you know, everything we did today is recorded. Raven can share the message or can share it with everyone a little bit later. So you can watch it at your leisure. We're just wrapping up.
Thank you.
Thank you so much. Yeah.
Yes,
Any
that
else
was wonderful.
share anything? Lily?
No, thank you so much. That was fantastic. Gonna
Great.
get
I
organized.
am, it's the best Life by Design seminar you've ever attended, I guess, right?
The best one yet.
Best one yet.
So glad you did.
Precious, you missed at the very beginning. She says this is the first time she's been to something like this. So by default, it is her favorite. All right, you guys. I appreciate you spending some time with me today. If you want anyone to look at a GPS or 4-in-1 or some ideas or whatever, I'm more than happy to assist at any time. And it is a pleasure being given this platform to share some of the things that I've learned along the way and how to be efficient with my time and make sure I'm paying attention to the results. So thank you very much for your partnership. Have a wonderful weekend.
Thank you.
Thank you.